We will start with drop points for Arsenal once again. Yesterday, losing 2-1 at home to Bournemouth. A big night in Paris around the corner next week. But, Jamie O'Hara, if you want to be a really elite club, whilst you can prioritise the Premier League, can you afford to let things drift in the league as much as Arsenal have done?
I think, look, they wanted to win the title. That was their aim this season, and go far in the Champions League. And it hasn't worked out for them in the league title. Liverpool have been too strong and they haven't been consistent enough. But, look, they got a massive game against PSG. The mentality really is all about Champions League now. They want to win that game. You know, I thought they'd done all right in the first leg. Just, you know, PSG were a very, very good side. Look, it's not great preparation losing to Bournemouth. I thought Bournemouth played really well. But I think the mentality, you know, you're going to take your foot off the gas. Don't care what anyone says. You know, the title's over. That was their aim. They've got Champions League football. They're going to be there. You know, if Man City, you know, catch them and finish second, who really cares? It was about, for them, it was about winning, and they haven't won the title. So I think as a player, you do switch off a little bit. You do kind of tend to go and take the foot off the gas. It's all about the big one against PSG. That's what they care about. This game really was just in the way.
It has been a bit of a theme of their season, hasn't it, Clinton? Getting leads in games and dropping points from winning positions. And that was a theme that continued yesterday against Bournemouth.
Yeah, but they're not clinical enough. And I've been saying it all along. And I know we always have this debate, but I don't know how Arsenal win games without a centre-forward. I know Kai Havertz, he's not a natural number 9 who wants to run in behind. They dominate possession. They got good players in Saka, Odegaard, even though Odegaard hasn't been up to his best against PSG. I thought he was non-existent. And then you look at Martinelli, and I look at him and I think, you've got to do more. Martinelli on that left-hand side, you've got great pace, but can you get that final end product of assisting or getting goals? And at the moment, you know, if Arsenal go out and finish, like, say, 3rd or 4th in the Premier League and get knocked out PSG, that's not a successful season. Absolutely no chance. This was Arsenal's year to challenge Liverpool. Man City and all the other big teams will come again next season. So it's going to be even harder for Arsenal. They just don't have enough, and they're not clinical enough, Rob. That's what I'd say about Arsenal. Play beautiful football, not clinical enough in the final third.
It's going to be a kick in the teeth for Arsenal when they finish 3rd and Tottenham win the Europa League.
I knew that was coming.
And we've had a better season.
Who had 12.08 on the sweepstake of Jamie O'Hara making a dig across North London.
Top season now.
Let's just illustrate, by the way, the points that Arsenal have dropped from winning positions this season. To come back to you, Clinton, on what you said about it not being a successful season, if they finish below second, if they don't win the Champions League, is it too simplistic to say, given that it's been second the last 2 seasons, that they've maybe gone backwards a little bit? Yeah,
this season I'd say they've gone backwards. Listen, the last 2 seasons they've been brilliant. They just were against a juggernaut in Man City. But this season, I think they've gone backwards. I think it was theirs for the taking at the beginning because we didn't know how Liverpool were going to be. As I say, credit to Liverpool. Arne Slot went in there and they've been first class. But I think Arsenal will be really disappointed. Then there was talk in January, can you go and get that centre-forward? Go on back Mikel Arteta, bring that centre-forward that you're in. Maybe he didn't want the centre-forward or the centre-forward they wanted wasn't available. But I always say that. I don't know. I only see Man City do it with a false number 9. Teams can't win stuff without having a natural number 9. I know there's teams that people be shouting at a team. They tell you, yeah, there's loads in Europe. But being an ex-striker, you need a number 9 in your squad.
Is it as simple as saying that that's all they need to do over the course of next summer?
No, I think they need a bit more. I think they need some backup players. You know, when you look at the bench, I mean, Nweri, who's I think's done fantastic. He's a young kid, though. I think they need some players to come in and bolster. You know, obviously, Partey was out the other night and had a massive problem. Yep. Thinking, who do we play there? Who steps in? So I think, look, the number 9, I agree with Clinton, that has to be addressed. They've got to sign someone who guarantees them 20 goals a season. How many teams win the title that don't have that player? I mean, there's hardly any. So for me, I think that's something they've got to do. And then, yeah, look, they got to, you know, I think the first 11's great.
Yes. But
it's the backup players as well. They need a striker and they need some better backup players to come in who can make a difference off the bench, like Jamie Vardy.
Well, we'll get to Jamie Vardy later and who he might be of use to next season. Do you have any sympathy, Clinton, in what he was saying, Mikel Arteta, that he almost was surprised himself when he looked at those who were missing in midweek against Paris Saint-Germain, and there was no Gabriel Jesus, no Gabriel, no Kai Havertz, other players on that list as well, that injuries have hampered him too?
Yeah, injuries have hampered him, but so have injuries hampered Tottenham as well, across the road as well. And yeah, obviously, Ange's had to get on with it. You're going to get that. Every club. When Bournemouth have done fantastic this season, they've had big injuries to loads of key players. So, yeah, you do feel it is a bit of a kick in the teeth to lose so much key players. In particular, I think Gabriel, the partnership with him and Saliba has been outstanding. But Kiwior has not really gone in and made a lot of mistakes. He's gone in and done well against Real Madrid. I just think in the midweek, they played against a very good, organised PSG team that are much better than the PSG team that was 3-4 years ago when they had Messi, Mbappe and Neymar.
Yeah.
Because it's a team.
Proper
it's not
team.
individuals. They work hard together. And that's why I make PSG the favourites that go on and win the Champions League.
Go on.
I was surprised at the starting 11, though, yesterday, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm really
strong.
surprised. He went really strong. And I get it, maybe you want to keep the lads ticking over. He still wants to perform in the Premier League. But, you've got a massive game against PSG. I'm sure PSG, what they made, 10 changes?
They lost as well.
Yeah,
that's why. Yeah,
but they won the league. They don't care.
Yeah.
But Arsenal have got nothing to play for in the Premier League. And I was surprised. And look, first half, they'd done all right. But it was so obvious what was going to happen in the second half. Bournemouth were going to come back into it. And I don't care what anyone says. Players like your Declan Rice and your Odegaards, they are not going to go full tilt. They're not going to because they're thinking, I'm not getting injured when I'm playing that massive game.
So do you think, with that selection, because I think there were a few eyebrows raised about the team that he picked yesterday, that he's almost trying to make it important for his players and say, I'm not making many changes, the Premier League is still a big thing, we want to finish second, and almost trying to get them to buy into it being a significant match?
Yeah, maybe, but I think you've also... I think that's naive. I think you've got to be realistic. As a manager, I get it. The Premier League is the bread and butter. I understand that. You've got one game which is the biggest game of his life, biggest game of the season for Arsenal. I was really surprised that he played such a strong team. Look, they come out of it unscathed. There wasn't any injuries, but they lost the game. It's not great preparation. Set pieces they conceded, so they'd be frustrated. And I'm surprised he did it. But look, only he knows why he picked that side, and we'll see what happens. Look, they've got a really good chance against PSG. They're nowhere near out of it. It's a massive game. I just think you want your players to go into that as much as 100. No one's ever 100% anymore, but you want them to be as close to as 100% as possible. And that game would have took it out of them, and they would have got frustrated because they were getting beat.